Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to our debates here at Galileo. This is our second debate of the day. Our topic for this debate will be the death penalty. We have two teams here present today for our debates. We have our proposition team and we have our opposition team. As for me, my name is Ashley Ladner. I will be our debate moderator. And now, before we begin our debate, I will introduce to you our debate teams. So starting with the proposition team, please introduce yourself and explain a little bit what you are going to do today throughout today's debate. Speaker number one from our proposition team.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I am the first speaker and I'm going to tell some pros of the penalty.
Thank you, speaker number one. Speaker number two.
I am Taire. I am the second speaker and I'm going to say some pros of the penalty.
Thank you, speaker number two. And our rebuttal speaker, please
I'm
rise.
Sandra and I'm going to say a little summary of what have said Sarah and Taire.
Thank you, rebuttal speaker. And this is our opposition team, which will be against the death penalty. Please rise and introduce yourself, starting with speaker number one.
Hello, I am Victor and I am going to be against this penalty. I'm the first speaker.
Thank you. Speaker number two, please rise.
Hello, I am Alexis and I'm going to be the second speaker and I'm going to be against the death penalty.
Thank you. And our rebuttal speaker, last but not least, please rise.
I'm Diego, I'm the rebuttal speaker, and I'm going to summarize the facts of my team.
Thank you, rebuttal speaker. We will begin our debate with the proposition team with our speaker number one, and we'll go back and forth between the proposition team and the opposition team. We will conclude our debate with our rebuttal speakers from each team, and then we will finish with questions from the audience. So, our proposition team, will you please begin, speaker number one, and give your arguments?
Hello, I am going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is death penalty, which have many issues like gender, race, belief, religion, methods of execution. The first thing is that someone who has been sentenced to death is no doubt dangerous. So, if you have done something wrong, you must pay for it. And the best thing to be sure, the best thing is by punishment. In 1976, there were some methods of execution, like for example, 87% with lethal injection, which is the more beneficial, 11% with electrocution, and less than 1% with gas chamber, hanging, and firing squad. Firing squad is a method where a group of soldiers are designed to shoot someone who has condemned to death. My second thing is that murderers commit atrocity for killing someone for fear of losing their own life. Some states of the United States have death penalty, and it proves that the rate of delinquency has decreased compared to the other states that don't have death penalty. For example, in 1999 there were just 98 executions, and in 2013 just 35, so it has decreased. In the United States, 2 million people are beaten, knifed, sword or assault every year. So this is a bad thing, because this must be stopped, because they know that death penalty exists and they continue making crimes. They have to suffer the punishment, they risk to suffer, because they know that death penalty exists and they continue, so they have to suffer that. And that concludes my argument.
Thank you, speaker number one from our proposition team. And remember, debaters, you may use points of interest throughout the debate to bring up an argument, a question, a concern to the other team or to someone on your own team, okay? So thank you, speaker number one. We will move on to speaker number two from our opposition team. Speaker number one, please rise.
Hello everyone. I am going to start asking, what's a penalty? What are the purposes of a penalty? A penalty is a legal or official punishment for breaking a law. The purposes are to suppress crimes, to defend the security of people and public order, and to contribute to the correction of the guilty person. Here again the last one, contribute to the correction of the guilty person. How can a person be corrected if he is dead? Don't you think it's better to send him to jail? He passes there some years, and then he comes out of it being a better person? I think so. It's not ethical to kill someone, maybe make him suffer in jail, but not kill him. Another thing I am going to speak about is that being killed is cruel for the relatives or friends of the accused. The report, Creating More Victims, How Executions Hurt the Families Behind, demonstrate that death penalty can cause mental diseases in families. In this report, Rennie Cushing, the Executive Director of Murder Victims' Families for Human Rights, said that with each execution, we create a new grieving family who suffer from, who experience familiar symptoms of trauma, some of them long-lasting. Rennie Cushing also says that the families can suffer from shame, increased isolation, and feelings of personal failure. In the report, Creating More Victims, How Executions Hurt the Families Behind, also shows that Jean Mayberry, that is a girl, has seen her brother die in front of her eyes. My brother was murdered in front of my eyes. It changed all my life, she says. Another case is the case of Tina Duray. She says that watching my brother be executed was the hardest thing she ever had to do in her life. Put on the shoes of those people. Would you like that? Would you like to see how your brother dies in front of your eyes? I don't think so. That concludes my argument.
Thank you. Great job, speaker number 1 from our opposition team. Now we will move on to speaker number 2 from our proposition team. Please rise and give your arguments.
I have 3 main points of this argument. The first is that in the USA, death penalty is useful and it works well. Some states like Texas, Oklahoma, and Virginia have this method. There were 35 executions in 2014, and it's the lowest since 1994. The second point is that in Spain we don't have this method, and I think that is a bad idea because we have to kill people who have killed to another and is innocent. And because if they declare you to 200 years of prison, it's better the death penalty because you are going to die in both ways, but it's more quickly. The third point is that I have some percentage of death penalty and people who think that is a good idea. 61% thinks that death penalty is applied fairly. The 33% thinks that death penalty is the best punishment for a murder, and the 52% approve death penalty. The third point is that, the fourth point is that China is the best, is the higher country that have the death penalty. And I have concluded now.
Thank you, speaker number 2 from the proposition team. Now we will move on to our opposition team with speaker number 2. Please give your arguments.
Hello class. For convince you that the death penalty is a bad idea, I have 3 topics. The first one is that execution costs a lot of money to taxpayers. That because one reason is that California spends $184 million dollars per year for death penalty. And California taxpayers pays $90,000 more per death row prisoner each year. In Texas, 2011, a lethal injection cost $83.5. Other topic for conversion.
Yes, point of interest accepted.
What Alexis said that is that death penalty is very expensive, but I think that not, because if someone is in prison, the prisoners need water, food, clothes, and that thing. So the people who are in charge of prison will have to pay that money for that things. So it is also expensive.
Great point of interest.
I
Yes.
don't agree with with the thing that Sarah said.
Point of interest accepted.
Because according to a study, the taxpayers pay $90,000 more per death row prisoner than on another prisoner. So it's expensive to maintain someone who is going to be executed.
Thank you for your point of interest from speaker number 1 from our proposition team and also speaker number 1 from our opposition team. We will continue with the argument from speaker number 2.
Okay. The other topic I want to talk is that the killed person will not be the actual responsible of the crime. For support that, I have 4 main subtopics. One of these are that more than 130 people that have been sentenced to death have been exonerated, like Carlos de Luna, that in 1989 have been sentenced to death, but in 2006 was innocent, but it was too late. And Joseph Odile, that was executed by a little linking with a crime. The last man that I want to talk about is Leo Jones, that was tortured by a policeman and executed in 1998. The policeman only was forced out of uniform for ethical violations or for use torture, and that's completely.
Point of interest.
Yes, point of interest accepted.
There is according to the thing that Alexis said, it's a man that was condemned to death for kill a person that was already alive, and it was hanged from a tree, and 100 years later he was pardoned this penalty because it had been said that this person was really alive.
Thank you for your point of interest, speaker number 1. That concludes your amount of point of interest during today's debate. That concludes our arguments with speaker number 2. Now, we will conclude our debate today with topics, with arguments and summaries from our rebuttal speakers. Beginning with the rebuttal speakers, give your rebuttal.
So, in conclusion, people who have done something wrong must pay for it. There are different types of punishment. Some of them are more efficient than others. The more efficient was the lethal injection, and the less with the same percentage were hanging and firing squad. The second thing is that in the USA states is that this works well because in the USA states have this way of punishment, and some statistics say that the murder rate is lower than before. Most of Americans, the 60% approve the death penalty, less than 40% think that it is the best punishment, and more than 50% apply in a good way. Some countries, it depends on the countries and on the religion. Some countries, like China, have a higher rate of executions than others, like the USA. And here concludes my.
Thank you, rebuttal speaker from our proposition team. Moving on to our rebuttal speaker from the opposition team to conclude our debate.
Well, I'm going to summarize the facts and the general points that they said. So one of the first things is that the relatives or friends of the executed person past traumas or mental illnesses that last all their lives. These are very bad illnesses because you cannot escape from it. Death penalty can correct the behavior of one person because after the execution he is dead.
Point of interest.
Yes, point of interest accepted.
I think that people who enter to prison is not going to change, and he is going to have the same thoughts of killing persons and these kind of things.
As before. Good. Good point of interest. Thank you.
A big percentage of people that go out of jail after committing a crime, after being a lot of of years in prison tell more things about another companions that kill people, and this helps the policeman to catch more people to be imprisoned. So well, let's continue with the idea that the executions cost a lot of money to taxpayers. Like we have said, there are $90,000 more spent per death row prisoners than another normal prison. In Texas, each lethal injection costs 83.55 into 111. This money can be missed because a big percentage of people is exonerated. And some cases are Carlos de Luna, Joseph Odell, Leo Jones, and William Jackson. But there are a lot of people with all his families and relatives suffering from this execution that was not fair. He has taught that the executions can be failed and make the convict endure a real agony. Some people have screamed and gasped 34, 40 or 1 hour. So would you like to be a prisoner that knows that it's going to die, and after doing it pass a very bad time, having very big pain? So all these ideas and facts have reinforced the idea of that death penalty is a bad solution for punishing a convict.
Thank you, rebuttal speaker from our opposition team. That concludes our debate today on the death penalty. I would like to have a round of applause for all of our debaters today.